She said it like a challenge. Not a whisper, not a plea, like a curse. You'll never find anyone better. That was a year ago. Her voice flat, her wine glass trembling, the echo of the argument still burning through the loft we once shared. She had the gall to say it after she drained our joint savings to fund her wellness brand, which was really just yoga mats drop-shipped from China and Instagram photo shoots she never paid for. I didn't argue. I didn't slam a door. I nodded once, walked to the bedroom, and packed one bag. Laptop, documents, one change of clothes. I left the wedding photo face down on the dresser. She didn't call, didn't chase, just sat there like she'd already replaced me in her mind. Maybe she had. I wasn't interested in winning a breakup. I was interested in control. And control starts with information. What she didn't know was that I still had access to our shared drive. The one she used for her pitch decks, expense reports, contracts with vendors, all of it time-stamped, unprotected, and badly managed. Sloppy. I downloaded everything before the week was over. By the second month, I'd already flagged 3 fake invoices and a licensing agreement she forged using my digital signature. Her brand wasn't just failing. It was criminally mismanaged. I printed everything, filed it under a clean alias, then deleted the traces. Then I vanished. 7 months later, I met Claire. It wasn't a love story. It was a transaction. I consulted for a boutique firm she managed, a PR agency that specialized in cleaning up other people's disasters. She was sharp, quiet, efficient, the kind of woman who didn't flirt. She negotiated. Over late nights and glass walls, we started talking. About failed companies, about ethics, about the people we trusted who turned out to be actors in cheap disguises. Claire used to work with my ex. They shared an office 2 years ago before Claire left, disgusted with the backroom deals and fake empowerment campaigns. She'd seen the fraud from the inside, but hadn't said anything. Until me. We never talked about revenge. It wasn't necessary. She understood the language of leverage. Last week, I proposed. Not because I needed love. Because I needed a partner. Someone who knew how to weaponize silence. She said yes. Not with a scream, not with a photo op. Just a look. We sealed it in a handshake before anything else. And tonight, I brought her to dinner. Not just any dinner. My ex's celebratory return-to-form launch. A rebrand after months of silence. New investors. New partners. A curated guest list. Of course, my name wasn't on it. I RSVP'd under my new alias. Claire pulled strings for the invite. She even dressed the part. Minimalist, clean, deliberate. Everything my ex tried to fake. We arrived late, just before the starters. The room was heavy with recycled laughter and new money arrogance. My ex was at the head of the table, champagne in hand, mid-toast. Her eyes locked on mine like she'd seen a ghost with better posture. She choked slightly, covered it with a smile. Wow, you clean up. I didn't respond. Claire slid into the seat beside me, placing her clutch down like it was a gavel. The room shifted. My ex's new boyfriend, or whatever title he was trying to claim, extended a hand. I ignored it. Claire, my ex said, forcing a laugh. I didn't know you two. Knew each other. Claire smiled. We don't. Not really. Not until recently. She said it like a knife wrapped in silk. I watched my ex's throat tighten. The waiter poured wine. The conversations picked back up. But no one missed the shift. The head of the table no longer belonged to her. She tried to maintain control, diving into updates about the rebrand, the new investors, the overseas expansion. Claire listened, nodding politely, eyes dead. I think this will be the year we go international, my ex said. Everything's finally aligned. Claire tilted her head. Funny, that's not what your numbers say. Silence. My ex blinked. Excuse me. Claire leaned forward, voice calm. I saw the pitch deck you sent to Halo Ventures. The one with the falsified Q3 revenue report. I was consulting on due diligence for them last month. They flagged it. You overstated gross margins by 40%. Eyes turned. Forks paused. I didn't, my ex started. You did, Claire cut in. And I have the emails. You used your ex-husband's name as a co-signer on one of the licensing deals. Without consent. That's fraud. The color drained from her face. I sipped my wine. Finally spoke. She told me I'd never find anyone better, I said, calm as a judge. She was right. I didn't. I found someone smarter. Claire dropped a sealed envelope on the table. We're filing in the morning. The original brand name you used? Trademarked 3 months ago under our holding group. You're infringing. My ex's voice cracked. You planned this. Of course, Claire said, standing. You don't get to build a fake empire off stolen names and forged signatures. Not anymore. We left before dessert. The silence behind us wasn't shock. It was recognition. Every single person in that room saw what happened. The fall began in real time, and I hadn't raised my voice once. The next morning, the headlines weren't explosive. They were worse, quiet, factual, surgical. Boutique wellness brand under legal review for trademark infringement and financial misrepresentation. Claire wrote the press release herself. 2 paragraphs. No adjectives. No names. Just enough for anyone who mattered to connect the dots. We didn't need to humiliate her. We just needed the right people to see it. Investors, vendors, legal partners. Silence is the most efficient scalpel in business. By noon, 2 of her suppliers pulled out. By 2, Halo Ventures issued a public statement, reevaluating future collaboration. And by 5, her new boyfriend posted an Instagram story, solo, drinking, captioned with a Drake lyric. That told me everything I needed to know. He was gone. Claire and I didn't speak much that day. We didn't have to. The work was already done. She handled the legal filings. I monitored the asset freeze. Her company, our holding group, owned the brand name now. All of it. Retroactively. Clean title. Trademark sealed. My ex couldn't use her own business name without paying licensing fees to the man she once told to get a real career. She texted me that night. Not rage. Not apologies. Just one sentence. What do you want? I left it unread. The next day, she showed up at Claire's office. Security called ahead. Claire buzzed her in. I watched the camera feed from the conference room upstairs. She wore beige, neutral, calculated. No makeup. No jewelry. Like she thought humility would help. I just want to talk, she said. Claire didn't look up from her laptop. Talk as in a confession? Or as in an offer? Her voice cracked. I didn't know he'd be involved. Claire finally raised her eyes. That's the problem. You never do. She glanced at the camera. She knew I was watching. Then leaned back, arms crossed. This isn't just about trademark. You forged contracts, falsified revenue, used someone's name without permission. It's layered. I can fix it. Claire gave her a long, still look. You can't even spell compliance without a Google search. I'll shut it down, she tried. Rename the brand. Start over. Claire slid a document across the table. Too late. We already own the backend too. Domains. Hosting accounts. Mailing lists. You don't just lose the name. You lose the audience. I saw the moment it hit her. Not just that she'd lost, but that we'd done it without ever raising our voices. You think this makes you better than me? She whispered. No, Claire said deadpan. It makes us smarter than you thought we were. Then she stood. Meeting over. I watched my ex leave the building without looking back. The next 2 weeks moved fast. Too fast for her to keep up. Clients began requesting refunds. PR firms cut ties. She tried to rebrand under her personal name, but the stink followed. Turns out, in her world, reputation is capital, and she just declared bankruptcy in both. Meanwhile, Claire and I kept working. No gloating, just structure. She handled corporate relations. I tightened security. We picked up 2 new clients before the quarter ended. One of them a wellness startup eerily similar to my ex's, only built on competence instead of Canva templates and fake testimonials. One night, a courier delivered a handwritten letter. No return address. I knew the writing instantly. Still curvy, still too elegant for its content. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know. I always knew you were smarter than I made you feel. That's why I try to keep you close. I guess I just didn't expect you to be ruthless too. I folded the letter once. Dropped it in the shredder without a word. She mistook strategy for cruelty. That was always her problem. She thought control came from manipulation, from pretending to love someone long enough to empty their wallet. She never understood that real power isn't about deception, it's about restraint. That night, I poured a drink. Sat across from Claire in silence. She raised her glass. To making it clean. I nodded. To making it final. The next morning, my ex's brand website went dark. URL redirected to a sleek landing page with Claire's logo and one line of text. A new era begins where false promises end. No names. No need. Everyone knew. And still, we hadn't even touched the final play. That was saved for the shareholders' meeting. But that's for the last part. The shareholders' meeting was scheduled 2 weeks out. Location: a co-working space dressed up to look like a corporate conference suite. My ex still had access to some of the investor circle, old contacts from her fashion PR days. She thought they'd protect her. She thought wrong. What she didn't know was that half the people in that room were already under contract with us. Claire and I arrived early. Not to network, just to observe. She wore navy. I wore black. We didn't sit together. We didn't need to. The agenda was clear. My ex walked in last. She looked tired, lipstick over cracked lips, heels just a little too high for her posture. She greeted people with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. She didn't see me at first. I was seated 3 rows back, quiet, unassuming. The first 20 minutes were fluff. Slides. Buzzwords. ESG metrics she didn't understand. Projected growth that existed only in Canva templates. And then the Q&A began. A woman in a gray blazer stood. Quick question. Can you confirm the ownership structure of the brand post-merger? My ex froze. She glanced at her deck, then said, "We're finalizing some updates." The woman cut in. "Because public records list ownership under a holding group filed in Delaware. Your name's not on it." Another hand raised. "Can you explain the forged signature on the investor contract from March?" And another. "What about the licensing agreement that backdated financials for 2022? She started to speak, but her voice was swallowed by the rising hum of murmurs. One man, an early angel investor, stood and turned to face me directly. "You're the ex-husband, aren't you?" I nodded once. That's all I gave him. "Is it true you own the holding group?" "Yes." He turned back to the room. "Then why are we listening to her?" I stood. Claire joined me. She handed a folder to the nearest attendee and said, "These are the updated filings, notarized and recorded. Ownership has transferred. Control has been assumed. And all liabilities are being managed under new leadership." Someone clapped. Then another. It wasn't applause. It was relief. In less than 60 seconds, the room turned. My ex didn't sit. She didn't argue. She walked out. No one stopped her. That was the last time I saw her in person. 3 months later, we formally dissolved her LLC, absorbed her remaining assets, paid off key vendors, rebuilt the brand under a new name, with real leadership and actual numbers. It's profitable now. Not flashy. Not fake. Just real. Claire and I got married in a quiet ceremony. No guests. Just a notary, 2 witnesses, and a contract that both of us read line by line. I didn't post anything. Neither did she. We didn't need to. A few weeks later, I received one final text from my ex unsent. Then sent again. It said, "I underestimated you." Again. I left it on read. Because the point wasn't to destroy her. The point was to show her that I didn't have to. She handed me the knife years ago. All I did was wait until the moment was right to return it. Clean, sharp, and cold as silence. She told me I'd never find anyone better. She was wrong. I found someone who didn't need to be better. Just honest. Strategic. Ruthless when necessary. Like me. The kind of person who doesn't raise their voice when they win. They raise the stakes and never drop them. Not for anyone. Not again.